What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Got my microphone on. Hey, everybody! What is going on? This is Playing Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. Today is Woke Wednesdays. We've already had Motivational Mondays. We've had Turn Up Tuesdays, and now this is Woke Wednesdays. Now, last week, I released two videos. One was the intro to Woke Wednesday, and the second video was the topic that we covered. Now, the intro was giving you an idea of the 5 video. This was a video series we're doing on Woke Wednesdays to get it kicked off, and we were talking about the 5 actions or attitudes that keep you stuck. And so we're going to cover comparing ourselves to others, complaints without action, rationalizing our lives, why me, and asking why versus how questions. So last week we started with covering from 5, we're going to go from 5 to 1. We covered what it is asking why versus how questions and why that's important. So today, the second one, we're going to cover number 4, which is why me? Why me? Saying at any point in time, why me? Now, I feel when this happens, when somebody starts letting that come out, they may not actually say why me, but you can hear it, you can feel it in their tone, and then you see it in their actions and behaviors that they're absolutely operating from a why me mentality. That's a very negative, that's a very lack of control. You don't think you have any control over the situations. And on the very, very, maybe deep level of that, that's a very, that's a very slave, second-class citizen mentality. Now, this is no disrespect to the slaves who worked real hard and really were trying to make a better life for themselves and maybe even running away. Okay, but it talks specifically about the ones who just, or anybody who just accepts their position without constantly fighting against it or trying to make their situation better. Now, I read a lot, okay? I'm going to put this book up on the screen, and I'll probably put a link if you want to buy it or whatever from Amazon. This book is called Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And I thought that there was something very powerful in there, and I have it marked on the page. It was page 84 and 85. There is a very powerful paragraph or a couple of paragraphs that he puts together where he talks about the mindset. And this was directly related to all the people that have been impacted by slavery, all the blacks who have been impacted by slavery, how damaging that was to the mentality, to the psyche, that even after we were released from slavery, and then the 100 years before the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1965, how detrimental that was in our behavior. And this is what Carter G. Woodson says. He says, if you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told, and if there isn't a back door there, he will, by his very nature, he will demand one. Now, see how diabolical, and I'm not going to get off into talking about how horrific slavery was, the conditions, who's responsible for it, anything. I'm just saying what mindset was created. That we now have people that walk in that space that, even as he said, if there isn't a back door, you're going to go looking for one and demand that there be one. You're going to demand second-class citizenship. You're going to accept mediocrity. You are going to feel sorry for yourself. Now, I had personally a situation that happened in my life that actually woke me up as I reflected back on it. It was the fact that I was playing professional baseball, and in the span of about 4 months, I had 2 arm surgeries. After the first one, I came back strong, and I was able to jump right back on the field. I was moving closer to getting my velocity back. I was a pitcher. I was a power pitcher. I threw really hard. I was right back to where I was. Then I got hurt again. And so at that moment, I had to have more invasive surgery. And so when I'm sitting in the recovery room, I finally come out of the anesthesia, finally it wore off. So then I look at my arm and I look at the rest of my body. I got tubes going in and out everywhere. My arm is in a full-on cast. Tears start streaming down my face. And I said, for the first time in my life, why me? I can honestly say that I had never felt sorry for myself at any other time before that. I always took a challenge and I took it head on. At that moment, I started feeling sorry for myself. And at that point, everything started spiraling out of control. Perspective. I started going into depression. From depression, I was very inconsistent with my school, with relationships, with jobs, kept spiraling out of control. I ended up being homeless, having to go from house to house to house. So eventually I lost my car, and then I got involved in an armed robbery. Now I'm facing 19 to 67 years in prison. Thank a power beyond me that actually was able to get that time reduced to a reasonable time where I'm able to get out and talk to you right now. But it was absolutely 100% perspective. And I'm going to put a quote up on here. I don't have it right off the top of my tip of my tongue, but it was a quote in the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where he says that if you are faced with a challenge that becomes difficult, you need to then change the way that you look at it before thinking that you want to give up on it. And Marcus Aurelius says in some of his writings, in Stoicism writing, and I'm going to put that up on there as well, Marcus Aurelius says what is the impediment to where you're trying to get to becomes the way that you need, the way that you need to get. Basically said the obstacle now becomes the way. And so as I say that, and I'm actually closing this up, I want you to think in terms of, are you feeling sorry for yourself for anything? Are you accepting mediocrity? Are you asking yourself, why me, when you are faced with difficult situations? Because I honestly believe that when you are faced with life, because it's coming at all of us. It's not coming at you or me any faster than anybody else. Life is coming at everybody at the same speed. But I honestly believe that everybody looks at life one of 3 ways. Okay? First one I believe is you believe life is attacking you. Life is happening it's happening to you. And again, that's just, it's perspective. You believe that life is happening to you, so you see yourself as a victim. No control. You're not taking the wheel. You're almost like in the back seat of an Uber, and an Uber driver is just driving all crazy as hell. Okay? So you have no control over that. And you're just waiting for it to stop so you can get up out the car. The next one is you believe that life is happening for you. Now, there's a way to look at that. That's that old lady at the church where she tells you, when she squeezes your hand when you're about to enter into church, she sees something going on and she tells you, she said, whatever you're worrying about, it's either going to be a blessing or a lesson. So it's happening for us. It's either going to be a benefit or you're either going to learn from it. And I heard this statement not too long ago. This person said that I look at life this way. He said, either I'm going to win or I'm going to learn. That's the second one. The last one, I believe, is the highest level of understanding that you can face a situation, that you believe that life is happening from you. You believe wholeheartedly that you are creating your world. So we're having to interact on a spiritual level. Like every day, I probably interact with, I don't know, just maybe 100 people that I'm actually interacting with in some way, some exchange or something, driving this or that, doing my business, whatever. Maybe 100 people in the course of a day or less. Okay? But there are 8 billion people on the planet. So I'm not interacting with them physically. But I wholeheartedly believe that we are interacting with this 8 billion every day on a spiritual level. So I believe that things are happening from us. That's the highest level. Things are happening from us. So we're co-creating with everybody. So again, because we're interacting with this 8 billion, there's going to be some things that are not going to happen in our favor just because of things have to get constantly in alignment. And this beautiful universe that we live in, this cosmos, is in, like the word, universe, which means one song. We are this one song constantly playing. So we're constantly interacting with everybody. So it may take time for things to come to fruition, the things that we want. So you got to be patient. But you can influence that. I honestly believe you can influence that by the way that you think and also the way that you are interacting with other people. And I believe that if you are looking at your situations, instead of looking at things, why me? Feeling sorry for yourself. Again, accepting mediocrity, having a better perspective. When you believe that things are happening for you and are happening from you, I wholeheartedly believe you are on the path to planning your greatness. This is Planning Your Greatness, and you hear that music again. That's my boy. All right? I'm going to say this again. Plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will.
A young boy once was all alone. No one knew